Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode. This is your host, David Kim. Hi, Khalid. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for your invitation, David. I'm very pleased to talk to you today.
I am looking at your profile, and you graduated from the engineering school and then started your career as an aircraft maintenance engineer.
Right.
And then you started a startup, IRS technology, SmartBee, right?
Right.
Then it's quite difficult for me to connect the dot between all those background and what you're doing now. So would you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I'm a data processing engineer, and back to 2011, I graduated from my engineering school, and the first thing that we should do usually is to try to find a job. And I dreamed a lot when I was a child about aircraft maintenance, etc. So I tried to pick up a job in one of the biggest company here in Tunisia, and I became an aircraft maintenance engineer for 2.5 years. Meanwhile, I discover my passion about entrepreneurship. And of course, I'm coming from a beekeeping family. First, I'm a beekeeper. I'm a passionate beekeeper. So I thought, what about building a startup working in precision beekeeping technologies that can help me, help my father, help all beekeepers, mainly in Tunisia. So I quit my job in 2014 and I focused on building something for beekeepers. The first idea was to build an air conditioning system. Why? Because almost every year, my father and I were losing beehives in the winter due to the high levels of humidity, and I tried to figure out a solution to be notified if something wrong is happening inside the beehive. So the first idea was to build an air conditioning system and to put it inside the hive. So I've tried to build a couple of prototypes, and between 2014 and 2016, I tried to convince some investors. And back to that years, investment is still new in Tunisia. So after the revolution, etc., so VCs and business angels, all these kind of stuff were kind of new. So it was like difficult first to convince a couple of investors, and we did it. And officially, we began the company in 2016.
So then your father is beekeeper,
right?
Yeah, okay. That's the way that you.
My father is a beekeeper.
I see.
We've been doing beekeeping for more than 30 years, I guess. So we have our proper apiary. We sell our honey. My father is a beekeeper and he is a math teacher. So he do it at the same time. It's like beekeeping is like a hobby.
Oh, that's interesting.
But we were selling a good amount of honey.
So basically, I mean, rather than a job, I mean, your father and yourself, and then love the beekeeping, right?
Yeah, right. We have our own farm.
I see. Very interesting.
So when just a clarification, when I wanna quit my job and launch my startup, the first thing that I have in my mind is the beekeeping and technology. So what about building something for beekeepers? This is what was the first intuition that I had, the first idea that I tried to do.
In your website and your LinkedIn profile, I read it, the problem that you are trying to solve, right? You mentioned that the bee population is suffering from the losses over 30%. It's worldwide problem, and also is a problem of the beekeeper. So you're trying to solve the problem of the global issue as well as a beekeeper's problem. So can you please explain what problem are you solving now? What is the device you developed to solve that problem? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So the main issue with beekeeping nowadays is the beekeeper profitability. So unfortunately, beekeepers are usually losing hives in the winter. Most of their hives are what we call weak beehives. They don't produce enough honey. Beehives are stolen almost all the time. So the beekeeping activities are not that profitable for the beekeeper. So what are we trying to do is to find a way to help the beekeeper reduce this harmful event like the bees' mortality or the weaknesses of the beehives, or when the hives are stolen, or to prevent losing swarms. We want to build a technology that will help him to give him the right insights, the right notifications, warnings about the states of his apiary, about the states of his beehives. So we built what we called a SmartBee device. So the SmartBee is a kind of device full of sensors, like a humidity temperature sensor, GPS, accelerometer, and you can even add additional sensors like humidity and temperature of the brood, a weight scale, the opening roof sensor, etc. So we can gather almost all what we need to understand the beehive. Then we're going to process these data and give the beekeeper what he should do, what he shouldn't do, real-time notification, suggestions, insights about his apiary, pushing him to raise the amount of the strong beehives which are going to produce a good amount of honey, reduce the amount of the weak beehives, help him find his apiary if it got stolen or something like that. So all of these parameters will help the beekeeper raise his productivity or raise even his profitability. So we are trying to help bees by helping beekeepers being more profitable. So this is what are we doing right now. And we built mini prototypes, mini products to test it, of course. So right now we are based in Tunisia, and we begin the international expansion in many countries, mainly in the MENA market and a couple countries of Europe, of course.
Yeah. How much is the price of the device? And then how do you make money?
Okay, good question. So we have mainly we have two devices. The first one called SmartBee is only a GPS tracker for beehives, and the second one is SmartBee Plus. It's the device full of sensor. Okay, so for the SmartBee, it costs around $95. For the SmartBee Plus, it costs around $130. Plus a subscription, but the pricing depends, of course, of the market. So it's not the same pricing, for example, in Europe, the same pricing for African countries, etc. It depends on the market, of course. It depends on the cost of the goods that we are using, especially for the subscription, of course. The pricing of the data is quite different from a country to another. So we try to build a business model based on the subscription fees. It's like a hardware. We are selling the hardware as a service. So we try to reduce a lot the amount of the hardware comparing to other competitors, for example. So we can enter or we can overcome the entry barriers on each market. So this is the idea we are right now trying to build a huge platform of our SmartBee devices. So we are not yet profitable, but we expect that maybe in the next 2 years we will be profitable by selling like more than 10,000 devices.
Yeah, that is in fact a very popular business model these days, like a printer, a fax machine, and even airplane, right? They're selling the airplane at a lower price, but they recovered by selling the part, right? So I think I feel that is the right direction for your business.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Yeah, of course. why? Because usually your customer, he don't need the product, he needs the advice behind the product, he needs the suggestion, he needs the added value. The real added value, it's not the device. The real added value, it's not the device, yes. The real added value is the data coming from the device. So we try to build a business model that really helps the beekeeper.
Yes, agree. So you are helping the beekeeper by solving the problem, and by solving the problem, beekeeper can increase their revenue, right? So
right.
Yeah, cash. Yeah, I think if you can finance operation, I mean, with outside investor, probably we can give out the device free of charge, and then you can recover the as a service charge or whatever, right? Subscription fee, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Right.
There could be more aggressive.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, we are trying to find partnerships and to find NGOs and even government to finance the hardware for beekeepers. Right. Bees are crucial for our ecosystem.
That's what I thought.
What are we eating?
You mentioned
depends on the pollination.
Yes, it's a global problem, right? So not only beekeepers' problems.
Right.
I felt that the NGO
it's a global problem.
Yes, they should be interested in helping this issue and potentially working together with your company or using your devices.
I totally agree. This is our vision, because NGOs or even governments, they want to help beekeepers because beekeepers help them in the agricultural field, in the pollination, etc. And it's a huge market. The Agtech market is a huge market. So the idea behind our business is like, we're gonna give a solution for beekeepers. Part of the solution will be financed by NGOs and government, and the added value, the real added value, will be financed by the beekeepers themselves. So this is the idea. So it's a win-win between NGOs, governments, and the beekeeper. So this is the ecosystem that we trying to build right now, and we begin doing it right now in Saudi Arabia, for example. We are negotiating a deal there. We're going to equip like more than 5,000 beehives, because the government there, they give a huge amount of subsidies and grants for their beekeepers to encourage them to have more beehives and to help them in the pollination services. So this is the global idea that are we trying to do.
Yeah, you design the structure. I mean, give out the devices free of charge and then recover through the subscription fee, whatever. Please let me know. I'm happy to help you. Shares my thought, because I have been doing this kind of leasing or rent to own the business model many decades. So I'm happy to help you. Yeah,
I will be blessed.
Who was your first customer? I mean, how did you approach your customer? Did they love your idea from the beginning, or they have a lot of doubt and suspect, ask a lot of questions? What was the situation of your experience dealing with the first customer?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah. So you have to know that beekeepers are afraid, or farmers are afraid about technology. They don't know it.
I can imagine.
So it's very difficult to them to bring a new device, to put it inside the hive, etc. It's very strange for them. So the first approach, our first customer was the Tunisian government, the agriculture government. So they buy from us a couple tens of devices, and they give it for free for beekeepers to see if we really have added value or not. So after that, beekeepers begin to understand that they really needed this kind of technology. They begin to understand that they need technology to first to secure their apiaries with a GPS anti-theft solution. Then they are beginning to understand that they need such a device to help them monitoring their beehives in the winter, for example. So we are teaching the market that to reach this small customer B2C market, you have first to reach the B2B market, the B2G even market. So we tried to build pilot projects with the government, pilot projects with another microfinance institution in Tunisia called Zaytouna Tamkin, which is one of the biggest microfinance institutions. So after that, beekeepers will begin to ask themselves if they really need this kind of technology, what's the added value, and we begin ourselves to them. So the first step was selling to the government and microfinance institution. The second step, we begin to sell directly to the beekeepers.
Tell me about how the company has grown since the establishment.
We have more than 800 devices installed for the fourth version of our hardware. For the couple other versions, we sold like more than 400, something like that. So now we are focusing on our latest version, which is way enhanced, technically enhanced. And we have now, I guess, the maturity of the product, and it's very stable, it's very scalable. So that's why we've been waiting to have such a product to go internationally. The three first prototypes or the three first products were just national products. We didn't sell it internationally. So for us, it was like our minimum viable products. And once it's stable enough, once it's scalable enough, we begin manufacturing the version 4, and I expect that we will reach in a couple of months more than 6,000 devices, including, of course, the Saudi market.
Did you raise money from the outside investors so far?
Yeah, so we raised money from Tunisian investors, of course, and lately we raised money from Oman and Bahrain.
Yes.
Oman Technology Fund, which is an accelerator, and Bring Accelerator based in Bahrain. They are hardware specialized accelerator, and they are helping us right now reaching the MENA market. And we just now opened a new company in Bahrain called Beekeeper Tech, which is a kind of subsidiary of Iris Technologies. And we think that it's a very profitable market for us, even before going very internationally in Europe or USA or whatever, because you have to build first your pilot projects in each country before even thinking about a huge amount of sales or scalability. So this is what are we trying to do now. We are focusing on the MENA market. We already set up a company there. Meanwhile, we are setting a couple of pilot projects in France, for example, in New Zealand, in Netherlands. So once we will be ready, we will focus on the European market. Of course, we need to raise money for that.
Yeah. You mentioned that in your website homepage, hardware startup are very hard. It might be easy to build some prototype, but when it comes to making thousands of devices, another story.
Right.
So I can understand. I can imagine all the difficulty, hardship you went through developing devices, providing solution to the beekeeper, farmer. Then it took a long time, already 5 years, right? So I can imagine the hardware business, you cannot quickly, also this is new devices, you need to educate your potential customer, right? It takes time. So how did you finance your operation in the beginning? Did you bootstrap did you have a lot of outside investors from the beginning? And another question, it was always a full-time job for you, or did you have any other part-time freelance job to finance operation and development of the devices?
Yeah, okay. So, of course, it's a full-time job for me. We've been working day and night to achieve our goals, and it was a painful process, to be honest. It was a painful process building something from scratch. especially hardware. Hardware is very hard. So, for example, if you miss only one component, for example, or it was a wrong choice or something like that, the whole device will not work. So for us, it was like a huge, very painful process. We had a couple of failures, of course, building the first prototypes. But we've learned a lot. How we did it, it was through the investment of the Tunisian investors. It was not a huge amount of money. They invest around $200,000. But for us, it was very helpful to begin understanding the real needs about the beekeepers and to try to build a real prototype. Usually, what startups do is to build a prototype. They are very happy. They think that that's it. Right now, they can begin a huge amount of sales. But between the prototyping and manufacturing, it's a huge story. So we learn it with the hard way, of course. But at the end of the day, right now, we secured all the manufacturing value chain from designing to prototyping to manufacturing. We have, I guess, now a good expertise on that, and we can build whatever we need or whatever our beekeepers need. So yes, for 5 years we've been trying to secure this value chain, this manufacturing value chain, and we've been successful doing it after several tries.
I see. Learning from mistake and trial errors and pivoting the business model millions of times are most important part of entrepreneurship journey, I think. So what has been the biggest mistake while learning a startup so far?
Yeah, I love this question. I made a lot of mistakes, but
yeah, sure.
The huge one was when we thought that it's not that complicated, it's not that difficult to build a hardware device. So we tried to work or to focus on the whole beekeeping value chain. What does it mean? We have like a couple of experts, beekeeping experts, plus engineers. So we've been selling our services like vet services, harvesting services, beekeeping expertise, plus trying to develop the hardware. So we didn't focus on building something real. So almost our huge amount of the money were spent on unnecessary activity. Like I told you, beekeeping training, etc. So why? Because we thought that we can sell our product in a package full of services plus a product, which is wrong. For any kind of startups that they are trying to build a hardware, they have to focus only on hardware. Okay, so we didn't do that. We didn't focus, and we paid cash. So after a while, we shut down all the other teams, and we 100% focus only on building the hardware for our customers. So this was like the biggest mistakes. So for us, we have Iris Technologies version 1 and Iris Technologies version 2. For the version 1, we have a huge amount of teams, lot of teams, vet services, vet technicians, beekeeping experts. But right now we have only engineers and engineers experts on beekeeping. That's it. And we are totally focusing on hardware.
So what can we expect from you this year and your long-term vision with the SmartBee?
My target right now, or our target or our ambition, is to reach this 5,000 or 6,000 devices sold mainly in the MENA market, of course. This will be a huge proof of concept that governments and NGOs, they need this kind of technologies to help their beekeepers in almost every country. So this will be the first step before raising money to try to go into new governments and new NGOs. So we are now focusing on building such an experience. And we will see. We already signed an MOU. We already discussed about the features that the government they need, and we are trying to understand their needs, and we are amazed by the need that is there, but no one is answering to that. So for us, it will be a niche, our niche, and we hope that it will be successful.
Yeah. Your end game, long-term vision of the SmartBee business. What is your vision you're trying to achieve?
Yes, long-term target, it will be, we will be the provider for the precision beekeeping technologies to secure or to help beekeepers around the world being more profitable. So we will aim to reduce the costs of hardware a lot. So every beekeeper will be able to buy his SmartBee, and even people who likes bees, who are not beekeepers, using our technology, they can launch their own small apiary or with 3 or 5 beehives on the roof, on the top of the roof. So my vision is to help everyone be a beekeeper.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the interesting story. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, you try to solve the problem of the beekeeper, as well as that this is basically one of the largest problems from humankind, right? Because bee is a very important part of our entire ecosystem.
Right. Thank you, David, for this invitation. It was a great talk, and it was nice meeting you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to reconnect with you again when you have, another great achievement and another milestone, so we can talk about again on the podcast.
I will keep you posted.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Goodbye.